Okay, good afternoon. My name is Hunter Morrison. I'm the planning consultant for the City of Youngstown, and this is a virtual meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals and the City Planning Commission being held on Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. via Zoom to consider two cases, one before the Board of Zoning Appeals, case 2103, which is located at 910 High Street, and Planning Commission reference number 0121, which is located at 29 Wilma Avenue. First, the members that are in attendance at this point, Mayor Brown, Marguerite Douglas, Jeff Limbian, Chuck Shashow, and John Swires. We do have a quorum. We do not have a court reporter today, so I will be swearing all witnesses in who wish to speak, the applicant and any other witnesses who wish to speak in favor or in opposition or to ask information questions about these two cases. The first case is case 2103. The applicant is Poonam Rani, who requests two variances. First, a variance to expand a significant pre-existing use in an RT 5-5 or 5.51 and 2 family residential district, and two, a variance to reduce the minimum front setback to the service area from 20 feet to 9 feet. The property in question is located at 910 High Street in an RT 5.5 residential 1 and 2 family district. Notice of a public hearing has been sent out to abutting property owners within 300 feet of the proposed property. And based on county auditor's records, we have notified these property owners that as an affected property owner, you're given the opportunity to appeal before the board to present your views either for or against the proposed request. And if you cannot appear, may send a representative or may express your views in writing to the Director of Planning at 26 South Phelps, 4th floor, Youngstown, Ohio. I do not believe that we have received any written correspondence, but we welcome people who have been able to join us today. So again, the first case, I would like to swear in all the witnesses. So those who are going to appear on this case, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear solemnly to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. We can begin. Mr. Rani, do you want to tell us your case? We have exhibits teed up of the map in question and your site plan, or we can screen share and you can present.
I can screen share if you want.
Okay. Rick, can you put the site plan up? Okay. Okay, Mr. Rani, can you tell us what you're proposing to do?
Okay, well, I'm J. Robert Leiden, PE. I'm a registered engineer and surveyor here in the state of Ohio. I surveyed the property, and first thing we did was combine the 5 individual lots into one lot. That's been approved and recorded in the courthouse. We are here at the High Street Food Mart with Mr. Rami, the owner. They've operated the food mart here since 2015 as a convenience store, and what they're requesting is to be able to dispense fuel at this location. This building has been operated for many years. It was built in 1962 as its Ohio gas station. It was operated until about 1992 when it became a restaurant and convenience store and has been continuously occupied for 59 years. Uh, Being able to dispense fuel, well, one of the important things about this site is that it is right on an exit and entrance to I-680. Being able to dispense fuel at this location would be a substantial benefit to all the neighboring citizens of the south side here, and also by doing our improvement and vastly improving the site with landscaping, etc. I think that this will be a definite attribute to the city of Youngstown. It will provide a service that is sorely needed on the entire 680 Madison Avenue Expressway loop around town. There is no fuel service available within that entire area. There's no fuel service on the south side within a mile of this site. This will give both the local residents and residents arriving or departing from Youngstown on the interstate access to fuel. We feel that's very important here. On signage, lighting, and landscaping requirements will be met and will greatly improve the image of Youngstown to those persons getting off the ramp, going on the ramp, and seeing a bright new place that shows a positive step for the city of Youngstown. We're asking for the two variances. Number one, for the use to dispense fuel on this site. And number two, a variance for the setback on the canopy, proposed canopy from High Street itself. The requirement is 20 feet. Due to the limited configuration of this particular site and the existing building, etc., we feel that it's necessary to ask for a variance down to 9 feet on that front setback. Now, this canopy is going to be well above any line of sight. It will not obstruct anyone's view of coming or going traffic. And we feel that it is a very small requirement or a small variance on this situation. It's been here for 59 years as a pre-existing non-conforming condition. Right across the street is the Easter Seal Center that's been here for many, many years. Our ownership here has spent more than $20,000 so far to improve the building, and we anticipate that there'll be a total of over $200,000 more being spent to provide this fuel service and to spruce up this corner of Youngstown. We would like to thank the staff of the engineering department and the zoning department for their friendly and helpful cooperation on this project. Also, we're open to any questions that you may have, whether from the board or anyone else. With that, we'll conclude.
Sir, you are the engineer, correct?
I am the surveyor on the site. Edward Lowe is the engineer that did the site work.
Very good. And can you spell your name for the court reporter who will be transcribing this?
Lyden.
Lyten.
D like in David.
David Litton. Okay. And you are with Winslow Engineering?
No, I'm an independent engineer and surveyor. It's just that I happen to have a lot of experience here with your board and with the city of Youngstown. Actually, I was the engineer and surveyor on the 600 scattered single family housing that a number of them are right in this neighborhood.
Okay. Very good. Rick, can you put back up the fourth drawing, I think it is, which shows the canopy and also the turning radius for the driveway? You're introducing, because of the fuel trucks, I understand you're introducing a different curb cut configuration here.
The only curb cut would be the very westerly curb cut on High Street, be widened, and the other two curb cuts are existing, and or there's actually two other curb cuts that are existing and would not be changed.
Are you eliminating the curb cut that's on the Edward Street?
That's correct. Yes, that heavy bold line is a retaining wall, and that area there will be no access from Edward Street.
So you're simplifying the traffic circulation to some degree on a rather.
Absolutely, and of course, it's not designed to have an exit or entrance that close to an intersection.
Right. So I understand there also were some water retention issues. Does this retaining wall address those issues that were raised by our engineering division?
Well, the retaining wall really doesn't have an effect on that. Yes, we are working with the engineering department to work out exactly what we need in the way of stormwater retention. It will all be underground and really doesn't affect the site visually. And of course, we must have approval from the engineering department and any other items that are necessary.
Okay. One of our goals here today is when we come before the Board of Zoning Appeals is to make sure that all the other issues that you're dealing with the city are addressed. And I know Mr. Shashow is on here to answer any question, can address that. But you're saying that this solution is consistent with the needs the need that you address the water retention issue?
Yes, we will make sure that we comply with the city requirements.
Okay. And this C-shaped pattern around the building that we're seeing here, that's the drive that's needed for the fuel trucks to over the road fuel truck to come in, service this building and exit. Is that correct? Okay. But most of the traffic, I assume, would probably be coming up that first curb cut, the easternmost curb cut. Is that probably the way the circulation will work?
Yes, that would be.
Okay.
On which way the traffic on High Street is going.
Those are my questions. Are there questions from members of the board before we open the floor to people who wish to speak in favor or opposed to the issue? Are there members that have questions for Mr. Ronnie or his surveyor engineer?
The chair, I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that we have been in communications with Winslow Engineering. Kadar from my office has been in communications with Winslow Engineering. They do have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. There is nothing in the review of the site plan that I've seen that affects the setback or the use of the building. The two things that they are requesting a variance for, the stormwater, the geometry of the site, the curb cuts, all will be resolved with an engineering review and don't really have nothing. There's no plan to move any buildings or that would affect the setback or the use.
No, the building will stay exactly where it's been forever.
And the setback refers to is in reference to the new canopy that's being erected to the east of the existing building, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions from members of the committee? Councilman Oliver, as the councilman for the area, do you have any comments or questions that you want to raise?
Yeah, this is not a question. I just want to say that on our perspective, we're a family of three. And
no, wait, excuse me. I just raised the question with the councilman, please. Councilman Oliver.
Thank you, Hunter. No, I got a quick comment and a small question. My comment is that I've been working with this particular business for some years now, and they've been very diligently trying to get this done. And I have never received any complaints about this establishment except for cleaning up trash occasionally. And anytime I had an issue or a constituent called me and say, hey, this is going on, they were always quick to address the issue. They cleaned things up right away. Other than that, I have nothing negative to say about this location or this organization. My only issue is to make sure that they put things in place so that this particular location is absolutely a positive thing for the first ward in the city of Youngstown and never become a nuisance. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
So Councilman, is it safe to say that your expectation is this would complement some of the other things we've been talking about in terms of the development on High Street?
Absolutely, in this area, particularly just being that on ramp and off ramp of the city. I agree with what they said. That's the only place to find gas in that location. So I do think it'll be a definite benefit for that area.
Very good. Maybe one other question to the sponsor. Are there any improvements being made to the building itself? Any aesthetic improvements?
Well, there already has been $20,000 worth of work done
Okay.
in bright. It's been painted and it is, I think, looks very attractive at this point in time.
Very good. Now, thank you, Councilman Oliver. Now, are there questions or comments from the any other members? If not, I open the floor to those who wish to speak on this matter, either in favor of it or in opposition. Is anyone who wishes to speak? Ms. Bush. Yes, Maureen Bush.
Oh, hi, this is Maureen Bush. I'm the CEO at Easter Seals, and we are located directly across the street from this location. They have been great neighbors of ours for many, many years. More than anything, I have questions. So in terms of the location on that corner of High Street and Edwards, it is a three-way, not a four-way stop. And we have a lot of challenges coming out of our gate at that three-way, being able to get good visibility from all four locations. And a lot of people don't understand the four-way or the three-way stop. Will that be an issue with more traffic? I do have that concern. And the other thing, just a positive note, we have a fleet of vehicles that services this community. It would be wonderful to be able to have a gas station right across the street. We will certainly support them as good neighbors to be able to do that. But I do have a concern with traffic flow and wondered if there was anything on the agenda to look at possibly converting it to either a four-way stop or making it a little bit safer some way so that people coming out of our gate or people utilizing the gas station won't have any concerns exiting or entrancing. Now, I do realize coming up Edward Street at this time of year, if you have to stop at that stop sign on an icy day, you're going to be backing down the hill. So I get why it's a three-way stop, but it is a concern. So I just wanted to voice that.
Mr. Shasha, is there anything to add to that question?
Through the chair, I would just say that we have already put up an auxiliary stop sign on High Street along with reflective barriers on both directions. We haven't had any incidents or accidents there that I'm aware of. Beyond that, we could look at possibly a flasher, but as far as a four-way stop, that's probably not advisable just due to the grade of Edward
I
Street.
agree. And one other question, if I may,
Yes.
will this be 24 hours a day or what are the business hours? Because I'm trying to see how it would align with our service hours.
12 hours, 14 hours, not 24 hours.
I apologize. I didn't hear the
Yeah.
beginning of that.
It's not going to be 24 hours. It's going to be 12 hours to 13 hours.
12?
It's going to be
Okay.
6 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night.
Did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Are there any other comments from members of the audience on this matter?
To also say, we are also putting a diesel here. In this area, nobody has a diesel around. I'd say in a 5 miles radius.
A little hard to hear with the tape.
If I could comment, please. One of the things we are doing is eliminating our drive approach on Edward Street.
Right.
And that will reduce any confusion there, and I feel that it would be a definite safety measure, that it would enhance the traffic flow on Edward Street by removing that entrance there.
And it certainly would clarify and not get people sort of coming across into that entrance while people are coming up the hill. So I think that will simplify the intersection. And
Yes, sir.
perhaps, Ms. Bush, if we could monitor that, we'll certainly revisit that if we need to. Are there any other comments or questions? Councilman Davis. Councilwoman Davis.
I apologize if this has already been asked, but is there an expectation that you'll be applying for a sales license for selling beer and alcohol?
We do already have it. Yes, there is a permit to sell beer and alcohol on the premises, yes.
That's already in place, correct?
Yes.
It's already in place?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments from members of the audience on this matter?
I guess I have one more, if I may. Assuming this gets passed, what would the timeline be for, and I don't know the particulars, gas lines to be installed, whatever would have to be involved with construction? Any estimated timelines?
It'll probably be about 2 months to do the site work, install the tanks, the stormwater retention, all the plumbing required. The tanks are already been manufactured and are sitting in a warehouse waiting. The canopy's been manufactured, as this has been kind of going on for a while here. So we're ready to move immediately upon approval, the final approval of all the plans on the site.
There was also a question from Rosa's iPad.
Yeah, that was me. It's just that I was saying,
Who is this, please? Can you identify yourself?
yeah, I'm her 915 High Street.
Say again, please.
Our address is 915 High Street. We're right across the gas station that they're gonna make.
And what is your name, please?
My name is Edgar
What is your last name?
Gomez.
Edgar Gomez. Thank you very much. Mr. Gomez.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, I disagree with it because there's gonna be more traffic, more people we got to deal with. I'm asthmatic as well. That's gonna be more pollution in the air. More music that we got to deal with. It's gonna be, in our opinion, it's not gonna be a good idea. It's not gonna be convenient in this area.
Very good. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the committee or members of the audience?
If I could make a comment, please.
Yes, sir.
With reference to the neighbor, we put together a petition, and it says, "We, the undersigned neighbors and customers to High Street Food Mart, support their request to supply gasoline at 910 High Street." 58 of our neighbors and customers signed this petition requesting that we do be authorized to have fuel here. Thank you.
Mr. Gomez?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I thought you had another question.
No, that would really be it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Mr. Board Member Swires.
Do we have a copy of that petition? Or could we get a copy of that petition for the record?
We can forward to
We do. We do not, but we'd like you to submit that. Could
No problem.
send that to us as you have the other information. That would be helpful.
Will do.
Put that in the file.
Thank you.
Councilman Oliver.
Well, just for a final remark, like I stated earlier, the only complaint I've ever had about this location is trash. And anytime it's come up, they've addressed it immediately. I've never received any complaint about this location, be it about noise, disturbances, nothing. No phone calls, no emails, nothing. Every time we've participated, every time we've cleaned up High Street along with YNDC, as well as Edward Street, they've participated in helping do those as well. So they are invested in this neighborhood and seeing it improve. And I'm sure they'll work with even the situation across the street to see if they can serve their needs as well as I myself. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman. If there are no other questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion.
I have one question before a motion, please. This is Jeff Lembian from the Law
Yes,
Department.
Yes, Director.
If this has been addressed, I did not hear it. Are there already tanks in the ground? And if so, are they being removed in order to place the new tanks in, if this is approved?
I can answer that. The tanks were apparently removed in 1992 when it was no longer Ace Ohio gas station. We do have a special environmental study done on the property, core drilling and testing, that certifies there's no contamination on the existing site at this time. So we have a clean site to work from. We will be installing new state-of-the-art type tanks and underground stormwater retention as part of this project.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. We have a problem all over the city of abandoned tanks. So it's good to hear that this one is not one of those sites. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the commission of the board?
Through the chair, Julissa or someone from planning, I guess, did we receive any written correspondence on this issue?
Julissa?
Or anyone? Laura?
Or Laura?
I have not.
Okay.
This is Julissa.
Thank you, Julissa. Okay.
That said, Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve both variances requests for 21-03.
To the chair, second.
It's been moved by Director Shashow, seconded by Mayor Brown, to approve both variances in this case. Case number 2103. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And thank you for the thoroughness of your presentation. Appreciate that.
Thank you. We appreciate the vote. Look forward to brightening up this corner of Youngstown.
Very good. The next case before us is a case before the Planning Commission. And for those members of the audience, we meet both as the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission. So as the Planning Commission, we're dealing with ordinance reference number 121, which is a request by Tricia Davignon for the approval of a conditional use permit for non-domesticated animals, chickens, to be raised as an accessory to residential use. The property in question is located at 29 Wilma Avenue in an RS-12 single-family residential district. I would like all those who are going to be speaking on this issue, if you could show us your visual, and I will swear you in. All those who wish to speak on this issue, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have Ms. Davignon to present on this as a property owner.
Yes, I'm here to seek a conditional use in order to be able to raise some hens on my property. I currently do a lot of gardening, and this would just kind of be an extension of my gardening on my property to get fresh eggs from my hens. I think you've all hopefully seen the attached site plan. We have the location figured out. It's going to be a slightly different size than what was provided on the application. We've since decided to change the chicken coop, we're going to build it ourselves. It's going to be 5x6 instead of 4x7.
Okay, so the plans will be amended to reflect instead of 4x7, 5x6, right?
Yes.
And you have also you've appealed to the Department of Health for their review, and a letter to that effect was attached.
Yes, Faith Terrari came out to the property and met with me, and we talked about the location where the coop is going to go.
And it's my understanding that that you have not erected the coop. We've dealt with a couple of other cases where it was a pre-existing condition, and the health department had some issues with that. In this case, you sought their approval before you've done anything to execute, correct?
Correct, yes. I work for the township zoning offices for Boardman, so I felt like it was probably pertinent for me to follow the proper protocol.
We appreciate that. And reading the letter from Director Bishop, the health commissioner, it in boldface, please be advised the request to keep chickens and hens at 29 Wilma has been approved by the City of Youngstown Health Department. It further stipulates the maximum number of hens is 8. There are no roosters permitted, no at-large or free-roaming chickens, and then requirements that we're familiar with regard to the structures and the handling of refuse, manure, etc. And that has been distributed to the members. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board or the commission on this matter?
Through the chair,
Mr. Squires.
how many chickens or hens are they going to have then? I mean, I know what the health department said, but how many is she telling us she's going to have?
Mr. Avignon?
I would like to have probably between 6 and 8. A lot of the stuff that I've read says that it's good to have hens together with, they have, the need to have other friends, I guess. They're very much like a, it's good for them. They really say that you should really have a minimum of 3.
So your intention though would be to stay within the limits of the
Of course.
Okay.
Definitely will not exceed the requirement of 8 in the city.
Are there any other questions? Councilman Davis, is this in your district, in your ward?
Oh, yes.
I thought so. So do you have a comment that you'd want to make on this matter?
I'd like to hear from the other I've heard from a resident already, but I'd like to hear from the other residents first.
Okay, very good. We can return to you. Are there any, Ms. Davignon, are you done with your presentation?
Yes.
Excuse me, Hunter, to the chair.
Yes.
This is Marguerite.
Yes, Margaret.
Yes, I just have a question. I have been doing a lot of reading about owners having hens. I noticed in your answer, you said that you are going to use the feces in your garden. Is that correct?
Yes, I will be composting some of it for gardening purposes.
Okay. Are you aware of how to use those feces?
I mean, I will be continuing to do research and reading on it. I did do a master gardening program many years ago, so I think it's important for me to continue to do some more research and make sure that I'm doing things properly. I also purchased a book on building composting facilities as well.
Oh, great. Okay, because I know that if you don't compost those, the feces properly, there can be a major problem. to the chickens as well as to your property and, you know, in the community, your neighbors as well, if you don't do that properly.
Yeah, I
The
definitely don't want to
smell,
cause an
other
issue
things.
with the odor or
Right.
anything.
Exactly. That's why I was asking. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Are there any other comments from members of the commission? Are there any comments from other members of the audience? Ms. Jones, yes. Stacy Jones?
Johns, Johns.
Johns, Stacy Johns. Very good.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. I just wondered, Ms. Tricia, have you ever done this before?
I have never raised hens before. I've had family members that have had hens though. So I've definitely been around them. One of my family members lives on a farm. So I've been in their coops and whatnot, but I have never personally owned hens.
And do you plan on having any roosters?
Absolutely not. It's actually prohibited in the city code to have roosters.
Okay, and just a general question. If we vote and this gets approved, does this mean anybody in our area can have a chicken coop? Do we open the door to that?
They would have to also go through this approval process as well, just as I am.
Ms. Johns, that's correct. Each individual has to petition the city and it has to go forward as an ordinance, which is why it's being presented to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission makes a recommendation on ordinances to the council, but every individual who seeks to raise non-domestic animals has got to make their case to the city. It's not as of right that because Ms. Davignon may have them, somebody else on the street may also just do it. They have to follow the same procedures.
I was doing some reading in some of the predators that it might possibly attract that we already have in our neighborhood. We've had an issue in the past with possums, with raccoons, skunks. Looks like predators can also be cats and dogs, and we do have some free roaming cats in our area. I was wondering how you plan to keep them out.
Sure. I can talk about that actually, because I do have feral cats that actually hang out on my property as well. So we are elevating the coop. It will be about 2 feet off the ground, and there will be a wire mesh on the underneath side to prevent predators from crawling in underneath it, or, you know, being able to get up into the coop.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from members of the audience?
My name's Steve Poulos. I am Tricia's next door neighbor, and I'm just voicing my support for her.
So am I. Yeah, we're excited.
And very good.
Yep.
Can you identify yourself for the record?
Yes, Steve Poulos and Courtney Poulos, and we're hoping for some good omelets.
Very good. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from members of the audience? Ms. Johns.
Okay, just for full disclosure, I'm not in favor of it. My next door neighbor, Ann Booth, is not in favor of it. She could not be on this call today because she's working. And William Armour, who's at 42 Wilma Avenue, is not in favor of it. So just wanted to go on record with that.
Very good. Ms. Davis.
To the chair. Yes, I too have heard from a couple of residents in that neighborhood, and they are opposed to it. And I have always, you know, I've been pretty consistent that about having chickens and things inside the city. I've never been very supportive of that. You know, we lost chickens in the city legally many, many years ago. Like I said, from the feedback, true enough, I've only heard from 2 people, but the feedback was against this here permit being approved. And I do have some questions as well.
Ms. Davis, you want to voice those questions?
Yes, Trina, I'm sorry, Tricia. I know you said you're going to put if this does get approved, and like I said, I would oppose it, but if it were approved, you would put a screening underneath, but would you put something over top so that the critters, and we do have critters here, so that those critters wouldn't climb up the fence and over? Because there's, we see these raccoons and possums and things, they are climbing into dumpsters and things like that. And, dumpsters have smooth sides and they're able to penetrate the dumpster. So are you going to cover it too or latch it down somehow?
The chicken coop itself is going to be completely enclosed. It'll be completely contained with walls.
Okay.
It's not going to be something that can be like seen through or be easily like climbed on, because it would just have flat walls. It would be like a small shed
Okay.
with a roof.
And it's gonna be 5 by 6, and that's gonna be able to hold comfortably 6 to 8 grown chickens?
Yes. A grown hen typically needs 3 to 4 square feet of space. So I did a pretty extensive research on how much space would be appropriate for hens.
Okay, and you will not be going beyond 8?
Absolutely not.
Okay, and have you spoken to your other neighbors about this?
Yeah. Well, both people next door. My neighbor Jim Murphy provided us with a letter saying that he was in support. And the neighbor on the other side, Steve Polis, was on this call. And then I've spoken with Melissa Birmingham, who's on Fairlawn behind me. And she said to just let me know if we needed any sort of support, that she would be happy to provide it.
Okay, so we kind of have a pretty mixed opinion, but it'd have a permanent effect upon the neighborhood. What's the impact that you expect on the neighborhood, if any?
I expect hardly any impact. The breeds of chicken that I'm looking at are very gentle breeds. They're very quiet breeds. So I'm not really looking at much impact at all outside of the small little shed-like building that the coop that will house them. I mean, that's going to be on my property. There are setback requirements, which I intend to meet for that, as to not affect the adjacent property owners. So I expect the impact to be pretty minimal.
Is your yard fenced in, like enclosed in the back where the coop would be?
It's enclosed on the one side and on the rear. Jim Murphy to the other side of me is the only property that side of my yard that's not enclosed with a fence.
Okay, and I think I only have one last question, because you mentioned that your family, you've seen chicken coops and things before, and your family has had them, but those were on farms. Have you seen or dealt with any that have been inside a city like Youngstown? Are any of your family having coops here in town or in another town like this?
Not any family members. I do have a friend that has chickens on their property or hens on their property that I've seen in Youngstown.
Okay, through the chair.
Yes, Councilman.
I have a question for Attorney Limbian. If he's still here. Jeff.
Yes, I'm here.
If this thing were approved and it became, what would be our recourse if it became a problem? A nuisance problem? Would we able to, what recourse would we have?
Well, I guess it would, through the chair, I guess it would depend on what kind of problem you're talking about. If it becomes a noise problem, then we would approach it from a noise perspective. If it becomes a litter or mess problem, then we would approach it from that perspective. I think it would just depend on the nature of the allegation against the owner.
Okay.
I believe the Councilwoman, the health department has a continuing role to play to make sure that the use is safe and sanitary.
Through the chair, how many of these things have we issued inside the city? Taking it and putting, critters
Councilman,
inside
I don't know. We could certainly research that before it becomes, the matter came before council. I know in my tenure, we've had several cases that have appeared before us. Most of which have been discovered through our code inspection process. This is, I think, the first one I'm aware of where the applicant has actually gone through from day one. But Councilman Oliver, you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I think the only one we did since I've been on council is one on the east side. And this is probably the second one since I've been on council.
That's what I thought. And that was all the way on the east side. With, like I said, whatever your body decides, it'll come before council. And, but I would like to have that information because without that kind of information, I couldn't see myself supporting something like this in that neighborhood.
And Councilman, to be clear, what information do you request?
Well, I would like to know if we've approved any other ones like this and in such a close-knit neighborhood as opposed to the east side of Youngstown, which is very spread apart, you know. These houses, it's a gorgeous neighborhood. She has a beautiful house, and everything. But the houses are close by, you know, it's a neighborhood. And like I said, I've had two opposing this. And I think you have a gentleman, Mr. Polis here, supporting, and then a lady opposing it. And I think that I really believe it would be in the good interest to get some more feedback, especially to council before we have to vote on it.
Okay. And Ms. Davignon, you mentioned you received a letter from one of your neighbors.
Yes, I had received a letter from Jim Murphy, who is on the other side of my property from the Polises.
That would be on the east side or west side of your property?
So Jim would be to the west.
Okay.
And he is 25, Wilma.
Okay. And Mr. Poulos is at 33?
Correct.
Okay.
Through the chair, may I ask a question from the law department?
Yes, Mr. Attorney Lambian.
Thank you. May I ask the individual or individuals who are opposed to it to offer maybe a little more insight? I know they're opposed to it and I know they asked some questions, but I don't recall them saying specifically why they're opposed to it.
Johns, do you want to speak to that or anybody else?
Sure. Basically, I bought in the city because I didn't want to be around animals necessarily like this. I have extensive experience with horses. I've been on farms. I don't have a problem with it in what I consider to be the proper context. Because we have had a very expensive problem before with the raccoons, with the possums. I don't want to go through paying another trapper for them because you can't kill them. The raccoons have to be taken away and humanely disposed of. The possums have to be rehomed. I just don't think it's a good precedent in my neighborhood. And if I was going to buy knowing it was there, I don't know. I just don't think it helps improve my property value at all.
Mr. Johns, for the record, what is your address?
4221 Howard. And also, remember I spoke on behalf of Ann Booth at 4227 Howard and William Armour at 42 Wilma.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions before I'd ask for a vote? We've heard a pretty extensive testimony. Do any of the board members wish to take action today?
Mr. Chair, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to note that we just had a couple of, and I don't remember the disposition of both of them, but I know that there was some ducks, I believe, that in the
Correct.
6th ward not too long ago. And then also there were actually chickens, actually about 5 or 6 houses up the street from where I live. And to this day, even looking for them, I've never seen them, heard from, or would never know they were there. I know that's just as a comment, I guess, but we have generally approved them when we have a health inspection. Especially if they go beforehand, before they get, usually we get it after the fact. They already have the chickens. And, typically when we have a health department inspection, that's favorable. We've recommended approval, just a little bit of history. That's all. Take it for what it's worth.
Very good. If there are no other comments, I'd entertain a motion. Is there a motion to approve or a motion to deny?
Hi, this is Patricia Sveth. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to approve the, I guess, the chicken coops. The chicken.
Very good. It's been moved.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to approve the request for conditional use permit for non-domesticated animals.
Chairman, I guess to clarify, that would be a recommendation to City Council, I believe.
Right. This is to be clear to Mr. Sastro's point. The Planning Commission will be taking action to make a recommendation for approval of reference number 0121 before the action by the City Council.
Yes.
The maker of the motion so clarifies it, correct?
Yes.
Is there a second to the clarified motion? Is there a second to the clarified motion or amended motion? There being no second, is there another motion?
I'll make a motion to deny.
Mr. Swires has made a motion to deny. Is there a second to the motion to deny? Well, we've got two a motion to deny and a motion to approve, both failing for a
Mr.
second.
Chairman, I would like to go back, if it's appropriate, to second Ms. Feth's motion for approval or for recommendation.
Well, let me say this: that they.
Through the chair, I think we need more information. Ms. Davignon says she's received support from her neighbors. We'd like to see a letter of support. Ms. Johnson, she received support in her denial. We need to see those letters of support. I think we're too equal on both ends to make a decision, and I don't want to flip a decision just because we feel like we need to make one. I think we need to hear each out, really listen to the support and the opposition, and clearly make an educated decision on this. And just because we've done it in some areas, it may not work in this area. I just think we need to make a better educated decision as a board. We have one member deny, one approve. I think we need to revisit this.
I agree.
If the maker of the first motion with withdrawal and make a second motion withdrawal, I'd entertain a motion to table. So, is there a motion?
Will withdraw on condition that Mr. Swires withdraws also.
Mr. Swires, are you withdrawing your motion?
I'll withdraw.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think we need to submit the information requested by Councilwoman Davis as well.
Let me suggest this, Ms. Postlev. The motion then would be to table till the next meeting, the February meeting, with the understanding that both the applicant and those neighbors who have presented verbal testimony would obtain letters for the record from those they seek to represent, and that we would revisit the case in February. So a motion to table and to a date specific, being the February meeting, would be in order.
I'll make the motion.
It's been moved by Mr. Swires, seconded by
Marguerite.
By Marguerite. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So moved by Mr. Swires, seconded by Ms. Douglas, to table reference 0121 until the meeting of the Planning Commission meeting in February. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Davis, appreciate your comments and your thoughts, but helping us to get a better picture of what the community really sees on this matter. Ms. Davignon, is that, do you understand where we are?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Ms. Johns, as somebody who's represented that position, you understand? Okay. So if you would get those letters of support and any other information that you deem relevant to our staff, as you've gotten other information, we will consider this in the meeting in February. Ms. Davis, Councilwoman Davis?
Yes, through the chair. Also, if you would, to Tricia and to Stacy, when you send those letters out, could you CC me as well with whatever you get so that I can have it at hand and read them in advance and maybe make some phone calls to you, ask you some questions in advance. And I appreciate your input, and I enjoy coming to these meetings, by the way.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for your input and your attention to this, Councilman. Okay, the matter has been tabled, and that is the only that's a remaining issue on the agenda. Meaning, if that being said, I think a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Motion to adjourn, Chairman.
Well, moved and seconded by Mr. Swires. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.